Hey guys, so today's episode is about Vaxxers and anti-Vaxxers and the reality of it all. You know, you hear the argument, people who are vaccinated, they're better, they have the best interest, they're stopping the disease from spreading, but it could be more far from the truth, to be honest, to be realistic, to be factual. Most people actually don't know what vaccines are. Not really. I mean, they know they help prevent disease, but they don't really know what's in a vaccine, and what's in the vaccine is the actual virus itself. So for the most part, when it comes to vaccines, you know, every pharmaceutical company has their own formula or their own compounds and, you know, so forth. But when you come down to it, the vaccine is basically the actual virus that you're trying to prevent. You're literally injecting the virus you're trying to prevent, virus or disease or illness, you know, whatever you want to call it, or whichever the situation may be. But in general, how vaccines works is basically what scientists is, they get a strain. Typically they want to get the weakest strain. Traditionally it was the weakest strain, but nowadays it's the strongest strain that they get of the current disease they're trying to cure. They go around, you know, they do the science thing, and eventually they get to it. But overall, the end goal is to have the vaccine injected into you. But the vaccine itself, or the virus itself, is not dead. It's actually it's dying. As with all living organisms, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what they do is they get to the end, and that end factor is the part that they inject into you. What they're trying to do is get to the end, beginning, the middle, the end. The end is what they inject into you, and the purpose of the end is that it's dying, so it can't wreak havoc, and it can't essentially mutate and spread. And it's at that point that the body actually defends against it and builds up an immune to it, but it builds up the immunity to the dying. So, without any of the risks. The reality is that when you inject yourself, yeah, you're spreading the virus. You're literally injecting your kids with the actual virus, and it's alive in the dying state, but still alive. And the whole anti-vaxxer component of the vaccine is the compounds. Now, the compounds do vary, obviously, from pharmaceutical company to pharmaceutical company and year to year, you know, of course. But ultimately, well, those compounds assist your body in absorbing, defending, and preventing future infections. But of course, with vaccines and compounds, similar to how synthetic marijuana, how people say it's dangerous, and you know it is, of course. But synthetic compounds in the vaccine is what anti-vaxxers argue against vaccines. And I'm not saying anti-vaxxers are right. I'm not saying that you should get vaccinated or not get vaccinated. What I'm saying is that whenever I see vaxxers thinking that anti-vaxxers are crazy, I just sit there and it's like vaxxers are crazy too, thinking that they're preventing the spread when they're literally responsible for spreading it to the children. And that actually brings me to the next part. When it comes to the virus, everyone knows, they always say, oh, well, you know, 1 in a million. But when you got billions of little virus cells in your body, the probability goes up that one of those little viruses are not in the dying stage and are still in the reproduction stage. And it's at that point that it actually mutates, or it's capable of mutating and multiplying in the body. And that's the whole new drama about superbugs and how they're becoming immune to our antibiotics, how vaccines are no longer effective, how this and that, and that the epidemic will be because over vaccination, overuse of the antibiotics, the superbugs spread faster. No cure. It's similar to in England how they have gonorrhea They use antibiotics for gonorrhea, but since, well, England isn't exactly the world's safe sex city, or country actually. It's basically like a wildfire over there, and it's starting to become out of control, and there's no cure for it. So there's super gonorrhea now in the UK, and that's the whole point. But even though, yeah, you're vaccinating your kids, but at the same time, you're also breeding the superbug. You're literally injecting your kids with the virus to try to prevent. There's the statistical probability that it will mutate, that one out of the billions can mutate and successfully spread to other people. So on another note, even though Vaxxers blame anti-Vaxxers for their child's getting sick, the reality is it's not that anti-Vaxxers getting your child sick. It's literally getting injected. One of the easiest way to understand whether or not someone got vaccinated and got infected and are carrying the new strain is when they start showing symptoms, usually mild symptoms. In most cases, depending on the virus, mild symptoms are a sign that when they got injected with the vaccine survived, at least one, and it replicated. If that's the case, then definitely stay away from them. But usually it's harmless, as long as if you're vaccinated and they got vaccinated and everyone in your office is vaccinated, then statistically speaking, there's like a small chance that you might catch their superbug. So if you are against vaccines, and people are getting vaccinated, try to avoid people who get vaccinated. I know it sounds weird to tell you to avoid people who got vaccinated because they're literally infected with the disease. And of course, most people don't know that's what a vaccine is. So next time, if you're an anti-vaxxer and someone's running around trying to point the finger at you, just remind them that they are literally responsible for the spread of the virus. Like with the outbreak. A perfect example with outbreaks is, if one kid or one adult got vaccinated, the vaccine lived, it mutated, it became resistant, and then it spread, and then it doesn't matter whether you were vaccinated or non-vaccinated, you can still catch it because this is the newer strain. People seem to forget that smallpox, measles, all those things, they actually mutate very often. They're alive, and that's what they do. When it comes to viruses and bacteria and fungal, it's a constant evolution, and is the perfect example of evolution and how quickly virus, bacteria, fungal, even parasitic, they can quickly adapt or actually mutate, multiple mutations. Billions of virus cells are in your body, and statistically speaking, one of them or a few of them are bound to mutate to the point that they can actually resist the vaccine. And the thing is about the vaccine is it's not the vaccine that kills them. The vaccine is designed to train your own body immune system to fight the infection or the intruder, basically, whether it's a virus, bacterial, fungal, the whole shebang. So it's your immune system that fights it. And like I said, evolution, they mutate. There you go. And yes, in some cases, your body might not resist it, but your fellow co-worker or fellow student that are vaccinated, maybe their bodies can still defend against it, which can somewhat prevents the outbreak. But if just one person who's vaccinated and it mutated, and then it's essentially nobody can defend against it, that's when outbreaks occur. Back even in recent history, people claim, scientists and doctors are saying, we eradicated this virus, and then 5 years later it comes back. And the main reason is because people got vaccinated for it and essentially revived it. Once it's gone, you don't really need to be vaccinated because it's gone. Once it's purged, it's gone. People see the plague is gone, but we clearly see the plague in third world countries, and And technically, the plague can survive in the wild, you know, bouncing from animal species to animals and eventually back to humans. But nowadays, nobody gets vaccinated for the plague. And of course, that being said, you know, that's why the plague is now prevalent or popping up in the middle of major countries and cities. All right, so I'm not saying get vaccinated. I'm not saying don't get vaccinated. I'm just saying that help you get a better understanding that vaccines are the virus themselves. So you can't entirely blame anti-Vaxxers. You got to have some responsibility for getting your child infected with the disease itself. And once again, if your child or coworker got vaccinated and are showing symptoms of the disease they got vaccinated for, your best bet is to ask them, whether you're an employer or a coworker or a teacher or student, you know, tell them like, hey, you got vaccinated, and they tell you yes, you're like, all right, so you're obviously showing symptoms, so obviously mutated. Obviously it won't be that severe. Usually it's not that severe. It's like slight symptoms, goes away in a few days, but you should inform them that maybe they should stay away from people until they're like the symptoms from getting the vaccine disappear. Once it disappears, then that's a good form of quarantine. A self-imposed quarantine is basically what I'm saying. You know, ask your friends, co-workers, teachers, so forth. Quarantine themselves voluntarily in their own houses. Of course, wipe down everything. Hygiene, obviously, the best way to prevent disease from spreading. If you see someone coughing and you know they got vaccinated, hand sanitizers thoroughly. Wash your hands. Tell them to wash their hands if they show symptoms after receiving the vaccine. You know, I know I've been stressing it, I've been saying it a lot, and I can't stress it, that vaccines are the virus. Yes, they can mutate. It's called evolution. It's called statistic probability. You know, you can't blame anti-vaxxers for everything. You can, well, honestly, you can't ban them from places. You shouldn't. Because in reality is, anti-vaxxers are more a danger from vaxxers than they are than vice versa. That's the reality. Anti-vaxxers are at more danger at the hands of vaxxers as opposed to society thinking it's the opposite. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed today's rant. I'll try to keep my rants more shorter in the future, or straight to the point. Definitely. If you're wondering why the scenic, why not? You know, it's a beautiful city, it's a beautiful day, it's windy, but it's peaceful. I mean, really, if you have a choice between the ocean and me, I think the ocean view would be better. Alright, I hope you have a good day. Catch you later. Bye.